misty woods and hills they wend. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another Tales of Adventure. This week, I am very excited to welcome my friend Alexander, who I get to work with on occasion over at Gooey Cube, and he is introducing a very cool character tonight. Hello, and tell us a little bit about your character that you're bringing to share with us.
Hi, I'm playing Tristain tonight, which is a half-elven paladin from Cormyr, who ran away from his home to kind of seek a life of adventure, and is seeking kind of to redeem the name of his family.
Awesome. I really like Tristain's background, and I'm glad that you said his name first because I forgot to ask you how to pronounce his name
It's
correctly.
all good.
The minute you said it, I was like, and that was the thing I was going to ask you. Okay. Because he has such a very interesting story throughout his life.
Mhm.
Um, are we allowed to share a little bit more about him before we get into
Yeah,
things?
absolutely. Do you want me to talk about that a little
Yes,
bit more about him?
please.
So Tristain kind of comes from a family where it was established by a great hero that once came in there, and this is from his mother's side, which is an elf, but she is married to a human man who was a noble within Cormyr, and it was kind of these merging of these two noble houses, both having children from either side previously, and Tristain was the first child between these, two people that were now married. His older siblings kind of went out on a life of adventure, seeking to gain glory and also fulfill quests and kill monsters that had previously plagued his family. However, upon their death, his parents really forbid him to continue his quest for adventure. So he goes off. He gets sent off to an academy. He's supposed to be a merchant of some sort or a noble or other, but it really doesn't work out for him. It's not a good fit. He's just not meant for academic life. But him being a noble and all, he is, he can't really be disciplined in the way that other children are. So they get for him a whipping boy essentially, and this child is punished in place of Tristan, which is very effective because he's an empathetic person. But ultimately, he escapes from, or he starts kind of going out on these like little adventures, running away from the academy with his friend, the whipping boy, and ultimately they the academy is like, look, we can't deal with him anymore, and they send him back home. At which point he decides to run away. He's going to go join an adventuring company, and he steals some weapons and armor, and is confronted by the castellan as he's trying to leave, who is this kind of surly old dwarf, and he leaves him with a weapon typical just to dwarves. And this dwarf kind of has he was a previous like adventuring companion of Tristan's mother, and secretly quietly approves of his behavior, of going off to adventure. But he leaves, he joins an adventuring company, and kind of like gets trained up and has now become a paladin, specifically devoted to the ancestor that his family has found.
I just like how he ends up going back out onto adventure, that he's kind
Hmm.
of sneaking out, but then gets permission in a way. I just think that's very interesting.
Yeah, exactly. He gets it from like an authority figure that doesn't necessarily have the authority to tell him yes or no, but like he gets it like kind of a little bit of permission there.
Yes. But in the end, it's the authority figure that matters the most to him.
Exactly.
Well, we're going to dig a little bit more into Tristain and some of his family history tonight, as he is prompted back towards an area that perhaps maybe he would prefer not to return to, depending on how he feels about things. Because although years have passed since the Castellan of House Virkalyn caught you slipping away from your ancestral home. And instead of dragging you before your parents, offers you his blessing in the form of that dwarvish tabarzan. I did look up exactly what kind of weapon that is when you described it to
Thank you.
me. I even learned how to
I
pronounce
didn't
it
know for sure what it
correctly.
was. So you said it's a tabarzan?
Tabarzan, yes. It's a type of Persian weapon when they have that half sickle axe and then a hammer on the other
Hmm.
side. Apparently, it's used in
Excellent.
farming. You're
I wouldn't
welcome.
be surprised, honestly. It
And
seems
it's
useful, so.
entirely made out of bronze. No idea how
Awesome.
they carried that. Um, you're welcome. You now know things. So that's why I now include this sentence. Its weight now steady against your hip, a balm to quiet restless thoughts, because it's, I'm sure, weighs as much as he does. Um,
Hmm.
for 6 months, your dreams have been haunted by a melody, soft, mournful, and sung in a language both foreign and familiar. Then, 2 weeks ago, the dreams shifted. A cloaked figure appeared, lantern in hand, wandering through pale blue trees as the mysterious voice carries on its unfathomable chant. Since that night, you've awoken to your cloak soaked in seawater, the sharp scent of kelp thick in the air. Childhood tales of Hermit's Wood and whispers of the task your family failed to complete there gnaw at your thoughts. Now, with feet as heavy as the battle axe at your side, you return to the home you fled all those years ago. You return to Cormyr. Okay, you ready?
Oh yeah, let's go.
I promise not to kill you.
It's all right if you do.
Only a little squishing.
Yeah, only a little bit, right?
Tiny, tiny, tiny.
It's all right. I have 49 hit points. You can take 48 of them. All right, like you know.
Mostly dead. He's mostly dead.
Exactly.
Mhm. All right. For the chat, because I'm sure Tristain already knows this. Cormyr, an independent nation in northern Faerun, is often called the Forest Kingdom, yet years of logging have left only remnants of these ancient woodlands. Hullock Forest to the east, King's Forest to the west, and the small isolated Hermit's Wood to the south. Set along the banks of the Dragonmere, a vast lake connected to the Sea of Fallen Stars, it is the iconic blue leaf groves of Hermit's Wood that appear in your dreams. West of Hermit's Wood flows the Wyvern Flow, a narrow river that empties into the Dragonmere. Near the river's mouth lies Bluestick, a modest hamlet of fishers, farmers, and hunters. Yet Bluestick is known for more than just its trades. Here, so-called wind raisers dance to drums and rattles, attempting to summon winds strong enough to shake the hickory trees bare. But these so-called wind raisers are not the only village legend. For generations, locals have spoken of a gray cloaked figure wandering Hermit's Wood beneath the full moon, lantern aglow with an eerie light. Though genuine sightings be rare, tales have only grown over the years. Recently, however, the ghostly sightings have grown far more frequent, and the figure is not the only baffling change uncovered in Hermit's Wood.
Oh my.
As you approach the village, you're noticing
Hmm.
that it's quite a bit more quiet here than you remember from visits in your childhood. Not empty quiet, but still quiet, as if the villagers are keeping to themselves and indoors.
Has the village grown? Like it's been maybe 5 years. Has it changed in like empty houses or new ones that have come up significantly, or is it roughly kind of what I remember?
Likely roughly what you would remember. It's not a village that necessarily grows significantly. over the
Hmm.
years. Certainly, they wouldn't be building new houses, but you're not seeing a significant amount of people milling about either.
Gotcha. Interesting. Roughly what time of year is it?
Probably spring.
Okay, sounds good. And so I guess at that point, Tristain is going to, continue to make his way into town, and he has a favorite inn that he is going to attend. He's been here previously, but actually, I think he's going to avoid that inn. He doesn't particularly want people who know him to know that he's in town. So he's going to look around, kind of look for maybe more of a rundown establishment,
Mhm.
one that caters to people who drink starting at noon, maybe. You know what I mean? Versus come in with their family at dinner
Mm-hmm.
time.
Okay. Closer to the edge of Hermit's Wood, almost as if this is an area best avoided, you are noticing something that suits your needs. It's
Mhm.
not a tavern necessarily, perhaps more like a rundown drinking establishment. And
Perfect.
certainly by the smells, you can find something resembling alcoholic beverages here,
Ah,
although
jeez.
certainly you wouldn't trust the food.
Well, I think keeping his hood on, Tristan's gonna kind of make his way in. Do just like a quick scan of the tavern. Make sure there's no one he immediately recognizes, and then make his way on over to the bar.
Perfect. Um, at this time of day, there's perhaps a humanoid or two asleep over various tables, slumped in their drunkenness, but no one that you immediately recognize, and certainly in their sleep, no one who would possibly recognize you. Behind the
Sweet.
bar, if you could call it that, is a rather older male human, and he is polishing a very dusty uh, tankard with the dirtiest rag you have ever seen. And he doesn't immediately look up to greet you as you walk in. Of course, without how dark and dusty it is in here, perhaps he didn't realize you even darkened the door.
Perhaps I'll gently knock on the bar there, um, and Tristain will kind of remove his pack, set it down next to him, dig through it for a moment, and produce his own tankard that he sets on the bar. It says, I'd like an ale, and a bit of your time if you have a moment."
Uh, the man will kind of grunt to you, pick up your tankard, um, pour you what you presume to be ale, thunk it back down beside you, and then ask for two cops. You
I'll
noticed
go ahead
when
and yeah,
good.
yeah, go ahead.
uh,
No, I'm gonna give him 3 copper. One as a tip. So
oh, thank you. You notice when he walks away that he's left behind some rather greasy fingerprints on your tankard.
I'll discreetly try to wipe those away when he's not looking,
They're now
and then
greasy smears.
I'll just take a sip of the what I assume to be very watery beer. But it'll say, "Wow, what is this? It's better than Suzelle Amber. I've never had anything quite this nice. And it sure clears the dust from my throat from the road. It's very good at that."
um, looking over at you from beneath rather bushy eyebrows, he sort of gruntingly says, um, "Hickory brews. Make it meself back in the yard. Um, certainly
You
it
make it
will,
yourself.
they'll put hair in your chest, boy. Drink it slow, okay?"
That will do. That I'm sure it will. I could. It tastes like here. Reminds me of being home. Thank you. It's been many years. Say I I don't know if this gave me away, but I haven't been here in many years, but I've heard legends on the road when I was in, you know, fellows from Marsember, Suzale that, said stories about a specter wandering the woods and coming near the edge of town, a cloaked figure carrying a lantern. Do you know anything about these? Have you seen it yourself? And I'll take another sip.
Ugh, I haven't seen it myself, but there have been tales of the specter of Hermit's Wood for many a gone age. Even me forefathers told the tale of a hooded figure carrying a lantern that glowed the blue ethereal light that wandered the woods each full moon's tide, only for the one night. Some claim to have seen it, others claim to have heard tales, but there's a fair few that would have seen the lights and never returned from Hermit's Wood. Lately,
Yeah,
though, there be those that be claiming to have seen the figure when it not be the full moon.
just in the woods or in town?
No, never comes into town, only in Hermit's Wood.
Well, I'm that's for the best. I mean, if hermits want to live in the hermit's wood, that's probably the place for them. Do you know anyone who has claimed to see this?
He thinks about this for a while, says, people be saying things, but round here, hard to say who's been speaking true, who's been telling tales. You could spend all season trying to sort that out. Don't think you'll ever really know for certain who's seen it, who ain't. But if you want to
That's
know
probably
who's
fair.
really seen something spooky, well,
I do.
there was a young one who spied something real strange recently. Said they saw some odd markings out in the woods the other day. Something sort of mystical, glowing like. Could talk to her like if you want.
What is the age of this individual? You said a young one, right?
Um, the person you're talking to is older, think
Hmm.
grandparents. The one he says saw the odd markings, she's
Hmm.
probably upper elementary school.
I got you. Well, um, where would I find her?
Oh, Ed, this time of day, hmm, probably all down with the other young ones by the Wyvern Flow.
Yeah, it's a nice place to stay. Who's minding them today? Do you know?
He kind of shrugs.
Yeah, fair enough. Um, Tristain, Alaska, with Blue Stitch so close to the border. By the way, it's not that close to the border, but like he's kind of hamming it up. He'll say, "Things been all right lately." I know Sembia always likes to get in all of the tiff, but I'm just checking to make sure everything's all right.
He kind of eyes you, goes, between the Hermit's Wood and the river, ain't nobody really gonna be messing around here, don't you think?
Well, there's always rumblings of this or that. It's never quiet here.
Yeah, No more than the Dragonmere's ever really gonna be quiet.
That's true. Yeah, that's very true. Well, thank you. And Tristan will give him another copper there and say, I appreciate it. And then he'll give him, two more and say, have one for yourself.
He kind of nods to you.
Hmm.
Doesn't really wish you good day like, but he does take the cops, and you get the sense that he's said thank you in his own kind of gruff way.
uh, Tristan is gonna leave the beer there and go. Like, uh, he's gonna pour it into like an empty cup if there is a receptacle there. If not, I think he's gonna probably drink it, just because and regret it later because like he's not leaving his mug there, but like it's not good beer. You know what I mean?
You don't want to roll for Constitution?
Let's do it. He'll down the beer. We'll take a Constitution roll and see how Tristan's doing. Let's go for it. See if he feels sick afterwards or not. Oh, that's one thing I didn't ask. How does rolling work? How do we do that?
With dice. I
Nice,
don't have,
cool.
there are literally no rules. There are no rules.
All right, cool. I'll just roll and roll 20. Constitution. I'm not proficient. 7.
Awesome. Okay.
Good start.
This is a great start. Um, I didn't pull out the dice that have good shapes, so I know which one is which. Oh,
Nice.
you take 4 poison damage.
Excellent.
Aren't you
Here, I'll keep
glad
a little tracker of
I
myself.
grabbed the D6 and not something bigger?
Yeah, me too. I mean, that could have hurt a lot.
Yeah, it could have.
49 by 6, so we're at 43.
Okay, get
I
worse.
guess Tristan just kind of like walks out, pukes a little bit outside, spits, keeps on his way. You know what I mean? Just like takes a swig from the wine skin that has water, the water skin, and then spits it out, and then curses under his breath and says, "Never going back there again."
You asked for a sketchy tavern.
That's the price of not being noticed. You know what I mean? I mean, with such a recognizable face as my own in my pointy ears. You know what I mean? By the way, also Tristan kind of has his like house symbol, which is painted on his shield, covered up. Like he's put the robe over that, and also over his tabard. Like he's trying not to be recognized. So,
Okay.
but he'll make his way towards the river. I would assume that Tristan's probably been here as a a child, um, and knows roughly the idea of where the river is and where the kids kind of play in it.
Hmm. Yeah, it doesn't take you long. I mean, my understanding from the one map I could find of Blue is that it's a fairly modest sized village. So it probably doesn't
It's
take
not
you,
big.
yeah, it's like, it was a very tiny map. Um,
Hmm.
so it probably doesn't take you more than a few minutes to reach the river, where you find a handful of children playing there. Among them, a few girls and a smattering of boys, all humans. And there's also a couple of what you assume to be mothers watching over them doing their laundry.
Tristan will make his way over to the mothers and introduce himself. He'll say, "Hello there. I'm an adventurer from further away, and I've come due to the reports of the uh, the hermit that wanders Hermit Woods, the specter that appears. And I've been told that there has been a sighting amongst one of the children. Um, would it be all right if I talk to them a little bit about
One of the mothers responds to you and she says, I'm Lila Woodhouse, and it was my daughter
Pleasure to meet you.
who saw it. Well, whatever it was. I don't actually think it was the specter, mind, but she saw something out there. Um, Hold on. Kaya, could you come talk over to this gentleman, please? So this is my daughter Kaya. She saw something out there. If she could explain, go ahead and ask her any questions that you would like.
Tristain he'll kind of like sit down, kind of like take a knee, so he's more on her level, and he'll say, "Hi, Kaya. My name's Tristain. It's a pleasure to meet you. I heard that you saw some strange markings near the woods, and was wondering if you'd be willing to talk to me a little bit about them."
Um, Kaya is about waist height to you, and she's sort of hiding
Mhm.
behind her mother's skirts, peeking out there, and she is a little bit curious about how you are dressed, but at the moment she's a little too shy to answer and is sort of trying to both observe you and hide away at the same time. In that way, only kids can do.
Yep. No, I know exactly. And Tristain will kind of just, sit, like put his hands behind him and kind of lean back a little bit as he sticks his legs out. Let his hood fall down so she can see his face properly. And he'll just kind of say, he'll just make small talk with her mother was, what was her name again? His
Lila.
daughter's name is Lila. And he'll make small talk. He'll ask her, "How how was the winter? I was over on the Sword Coast for most of it, but I've made my way back through, and now that we're just almost in mid spring, it seems that the what is it? The Wyvern water is thawed and the river's flowing again."
Lila will answer you while sort of trying to disentangle her daughter from
Hmm.
behind her that this particular winter wasn't too harsh. They could have used with a bit more snow or at least some rain. Um, Her husband is a woodcutter, but her family has always been farmers, and she's a little bit worried about the crops this season. But well, there's still plenty of chances for rain in the spring, and as long as there's enough good rain for the soil, then we'll get a good harvest still in the fall.
Well, that's good to hear. I hope it goes well. You said your husband was a woodcutter. So that must
Yes.
be with the Hermit wood. Has he heard anything of these? Has there been any disruption to the work that they're doing, or any fear that they kind of have about this specter showing up more than just the full moon?
Oh, well, I mean, all the time. No one really goes into Hermit's Wood, not around here. We've all learned not to
No.
go past the borders, just stay near the newest hickory trees on the outskirts. Don't go anywhere near the blue leaf groves, and generally everything's been fine. But, well, lately, obviously, things have been getting a little more ruckus. Supposedly sightings of the specter. None of us have seen it, but further out into the newer groves. But well, I don't know what could possibly be agitating it from like that. But trying to pull her daughter around, Kaya could tell you. So just tell the gentleman. Be a little more firm with her.
Tristan will give Kaya a smile and say, "It's all right. You can tell me. I'm not. I just want to know about what you saw." And probably persuasion check would be appropriate.
Mhm.
Okay, we'll go that. We'll see if I'm a big scary man or not. 11. So I don't. Maybe I'm a scary man. I don't know. 11. I'll also offer her like some dried fruit that I have for my bag or something. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
Um,
So, she rolled a nat 20 on insight.
nice.
Yes. So you may be a big man, but you are certainly not a scary man, at least not at
No.
this moment. Um, but she is still a young child and is quite shy around strangers. And so,
Mhm.
sort of looking down, she'll sort of mumble to you that um, she was playing out into the woods and well, I know that I shouldn't, but I was I went deeper because I liked the way the blue leaves were glowing and there was this funny sort of boulder and it had these swirling patterns on it and it was glowing and that didn't seem quite right. Is that what the specter's supposed to be?
Um, Not exactly, but this is very helpful. Thank you so much, Kaya. The Spectre is in legend. Some say that he is a or she is a guardian of the forest, and simply walks the border when the full moon is in the sky to ensure that the woods are kept as they have been for many years. The specter, as I've always heard it, was is mostly harmless, and even in some legends, has helped children find their way home. However, if you are in the woods at night, I would recommend you not follow lanterns that you see.
She kind of nods to you and says,
Kyle, one more thing.
"Mhm.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go first."
Um, Kyle, one more thing. What color were the patterns glowing?
Bright blue,
Like the leaves, or more like the sky?
like the ocean.
Like the ocean. Tristain lets out a little sigh. Of course. The Dragonmere, right?
I suppose. I've never seen a big
Or more like the
ocean,
river.
but if the Dragonmere were bigger, I suppose it would be that sort of blue.
It's quite a nice bay, the Dragonmere. But yes, so thank you. What? Why do you say like the ocean? You said you'd never seen an ocean.
We
Was it just a feeling you had?
we learned about ocean at school. They said it was a sort of blue color, like the Dragonmere, but that because it had salts, like the sea of fallen stars, that it made the blue a funny
Hmm.
color. And this blue had a funny color, so I thought maybe it was like an ocean.
And by a funny color, do you mean a little more green, or do you mean like a purplish? And then it kind of occurs to Tristan at this point. This girl has probably never seen purple. Like she probably has no idea what he's talking about. Like, it's a relatively rare color, and he produces like a banner from Cormyr, which is the purple dragon, right?
Mhm.
And so it's kind of more like this, or more like and he kind of just gestures to the grass, or more like that.
She kind of thinks about it for a second, and then she frowns and says, I think more like, and then she sort of points at the sun, but also, and points at the
Tristan thinks about
grass.
this. Mhm. I understand. Bright, right?
Mhm.
Flowing, as you said. Um, he'll smile to Kaya again and he'll say, "Thank you very much." And he's gonna hand her a cup and give that to her.
She looks very excited about this.
Um, and he'll say, "That's all the questions I have right actually, actually, one last thing. Um, roughly, where did you enter the village? What was the last building or the forest? What was the last building you passed before you went into the forest where you were playing?"
She will kind of point directly west and say, "Oh, by my house."
He'll nod and give her another smile and say, thank you, Kaya. I appreciate it. That'll be all from the little girl."
She'll say you're welcome and run off to show the other children her new shiny cup.
Tristan will smile and kind of look back to Lila, her mother, and ask, "Your house is on the edge of the town near the woods."
Yes, close-ish, not quite at the very edge of the village, but near that way where it's a little more open and we can till our own little plot of ground.
Are there any distinguishing features?
She thinks for a moment and says, "There is a worn old hickory stump near there."
All right. Another question, if I might. Uh, are your laundering services available for pay?
She says, "I suppose so. We don't get many wandering folk through here, but if you're needing services, I'm happy to oblige."
Well, I've been on the road for a while, and frankly, I have some clothes that are past needing to be cleaned properly. What would be a fair price by your reckoning?
She'll offer you to do whatever services you need for 5 cups.
Um, Excellent. Tristain will say, and just kind of open his bag and start removing some of the clothing that is, been soiled, and kind of fold that in a pile, and then place 5 copper upon it. And he'll say, "I'll be around town for a little while. I'll be back to collect in roughly a day. Uh, at your house. So I'll let you know when I arrive and knock on the door."
Okay.
Do you have any recommendations for places I might find a room? I think I might end up being here more than a day. And while I have a tent, I know that we're in Cormyr, and most villages don't take too kindly to people camping on the edge of town.
Um, I know you don't want to go to the one inn in town.
Yep, yep. There's one.
Sorry.
He's like, "Is there anywhere else other than the main inn? I might find a place."
In this
No, all right.
tiny, tiny, tiny little village.
There's like two inns, and one of them is like severely run down. Like the top floor is condemned. You
There's
know what
the
I mean?
one
Like
you
it's
just
not.
got poisoned in, and the one we don't want to go to. Hmm. No.
Just will sigh and be, "Well, I better work quick then." Before
Into the
word
woods
travels.
to go.
Very much. Yeah, no. Roughly what time of day is it?
Um, Probably mid-morning.
Mid-morning. Perfect. Um, Tristan says, "Well, I will. I'll be about my work then. I'll let you know if there's any threat to you or your family. But hopefully, by the time I realize there is anything, it'll be long dealt with. So we'll just have to see. And with that, he'll stand up, kind of brush himself off a bit, readjust his cloak, pull his hood over again, and start making his way through town.
She nods her thanks and waves best of luck to you.
Thank you. Tristain actually he takes 2 steps, has one of those moments again where he's like, "Wait, I forgot something." Turns back to her and says, "I know no one goes in the Hermit Wood, but like, is it actually no one, or are there some people who occasionally make forays? Because I'm not the best at finding my way through wood, shall we say?"
No, like this is a thing. People do go into Hermit's Wood.
All right,
It's like a thing. It's like a lore
man.
thing.
No, no, no. I know. But it's not a place that people want to be in, for good
No.
reason.
Yeah.
Like, there's very good reasons to stay out of Hermitwood that I know out of character, but yeah.
It's like not a good place.
No, it's look. None of the woods in the Forgotten Realms are a good place to be. Nor are the plains or the hills or the oceans or anywhere else.
Basically,
They're
the
all
whole
monster
thing is
infested.
dangerous. Don't go there.
Like literally
The
everywhere in the
city's
Forgotten
not
Realms
great
is
either.
horrifically dangerous. Yeah, no, like you're gonna get like it is a really dangerous place.
People tease me for creating a bad environment in my homebrew world, but like,
Bro, look at Ed Greenwood. Come on.
have you seen the Forgotten Realms? Okay.
No, for real, you're not wrong. Yeah, that's what Tristan figured. It's just kind of like a situation where, you know, his he's not great at survival. We'll put it that way. So it's a 50-50 if he gets anywhere in there. Um, but no, he'll
Perfect.
exactly. And getting lost is a good thing. He'll let me think what he's gonna do. Yeah, no, I think he's gonna trying to decide if he's gonna swallow his pride and go for it, or if he's going to
Stop stalling.
if he's yeah, I think he's gonna go to the inn, um, and
Only because it's you and I know you're stalling.
he's gonna go into the inn that he doesn't want to go to, and look around. Not actually, no, he's not gonna look around. He's gonna go straight to the innkeeper, and essentially ask, "Hey, is there anyone that you might know who is, available for a guide? I'm looking for someone to lead me through some of the wildlands, and I'm willing to pay."
Uh, are we talking to the old guy again?
No, we're going to the inn that Tristan doesn't want
Oh,
to go to.
now we're talking to the
Yep,
nice
that one.
inn. Okay.
The nice inn that Tristan is definitely going to get recognized in. And well, I mean, he might not. It's been a while, but you know.
All right. Um, this establishment is obviously much more clean and upkept than the one we've encountered before.
That is.
It is also empty because in the morning nobody's drinking here. They are at work. Um, Instead, you find the innkeeper there tidying up and preparing for the noonday meal. Uh, he turns towards you and says, "An outlander, eh? Uh, no, I'm afraid you need to go on the other side of the woods for one of those. We don't really keep them here at Brewstick. We don't go into the woods, okay?"
No, no, I understand that. But we're also, near the just the kind of, I might need to go out near the Golden Ruins or Dreamer's Rock or up to Weloon or Weloon and kind of just that general area. Is there anyone who could take me out there as well?
He looks at you appraisingly and goes, adventurer, eh? Well, I do hope I
Guilty
see
as
you in
charged.
morning, but and no outlanders here.
All right. Well, how many rooms do you have free right now?
He shrugs, goes, all of them, so two.
Two. All right.
It's a tiny
What'll it be
village.
for a night to stay? Yeah, I know it's a tiny town. There's like 8 buildings. Like it's
I
not
have
that
no
bad,
idea if they
but
even have a tavern and an inn. Could not find that much information. They're like, there's
I,
fishers
I'm
and
assuming that
hunters
there's
here,
like,
and I was like, that's a lot of detail, thank you.
yep, yeah.
I'm just
I'm
gonna make up
assuming it's
shit
like
then and
the
hope
guest
Ed
room
Greenwood
of the
doesn't come for
innkeeper,
me.
right? No, like I assume like he lives above the inn and his guest room is where I'm staying. Like it's like that kind of a situation.
This is a B&B. Okay, here we go. Um,
Pretty much.
um, what was the question? How much does a room cost?
Yeah. How much does a room do you
Do
remember
I
per night?
remember what the say scan through brain? 1 gold per night.
1 gold. All right. Thank you for the information. Yeah, Tristan's gonna leave. No,
That was not the correct answer. I'm sorry.
no, it's fine.
My
One
brain
gold is
was
not
like,
unrealistic.
where's my chart of how much things cost in different locations? Brain.
One gold is not unrealistic for like solid accommodation. Um,
Oh, well, that
it's
was
just
incorrect
like
then.
no, it's
It's
fine. I
fine.
mean, five silver is half of a gold, and it's all good. But no, he's
That's
like,
the
all
answer
right,
I
well,
wanted, and I couldn't remember how many silvers are in a gold.
exactly. It's all tens, unless you do the Gooey Cube method, which I don't remember. But
Well,
it's all
that's
tens.
half the
Other,
problem, is I can't keep the
I
realm
see that.
straight. That's why we have sticky notes.
Yeah, Forgotten Realms is just 10 copper to a silver, 10 silver to a gold, 10 gold to a platinum.
And then there's Cookie, which is screw it. What is money, anyways?
Yeah, I think I think there's
Don't guess.
10.
It's gonna hurt your
Yeah, I'm not
brain.
gonna guess. Yeah.
I should know. I keep having to put it into Roll20, but
So we're headed for the house. We're gonna try to find the hickory stump and then head into the woods.
okay, you do quite easily.
Excellent.
And then you must enter the woods.
I'm gonna say a
D20.
quick prayer to my ancestor to look after me as I wander through dangerous lands, and to help me to bring safety to those who cannot find it for themselves. And into the woods we go. Not like the
To the
musical though,
woods.
but
Oh,
you can hum it if you want. But
I cannot hum and read at the same time.
that's true, and I think it's gonna go a little different. But
I won't
go
make you
ahead.
go chasing after geese and golden shoes and everything else. Um,
Fingers crossed.
that you know of. On the northern banks of the Lake of Dragons lies one of the last untouched woodlands. Known as Hermit's Wood, it takes its name from a lone recluse said to have dwelled here in Cormyr's early days. Rich with wildlife, the forest is home to a rare species of toad, rumored to see the unseen, able to spy invisible creatures. Despite the abundance of game, few locals dare to venture beyond its borders. On rare occasions, seasoned guides escort travelers between eastern and western settlements, but such journeys are uncommon. Tales of restless spirits and ancient elven ruins of old Cormanther shroud these hickory and blue leaf groves in unease. As you step into the woods, it seems as if the very trees are holding their breath.
That's creepy.
Alrighty. Yes, it is. Okay. Are you ready for some woods searching?
I am.
Ha ha
I'm ready
ha.
to fail my survival check multiple times in a row, and get very, very, very lost.
Hee hee. All right. So tell me, good traveler, what would you like to search for here in these woods?
So I'm going to. I'm mostly going to be searching for this stone that was mentioned. Uh, it is odd to me that she mentioned the ocean. The Dragonmere is almost a bay, or even more of a lake almost. I mean, the Sea of Fallen Stars is really, if you think about it, a giant salt lake.
I
While
mean,
it
it
is
is literally a
large
giant
enough for
salt
the sea.
lake.
Yes, it no exactly, but it's not the same color as like the Sea of Swords, which
Hmm.
is on the proper ocean on the Sword Coast. So it's just strange to me with these dreams also of waking up with seawater, and dreams of the ocean that something is drawing me. And Tristain is going to keep his eyes open, keep looking around, and sorry, one second. I just realized I didn't take perception on this character, so this is gonna be a really fun time. But, yeah, we're gonna wander around, and he's kind of gonna keep his eyes out for a large boulder with strange markings, but also be cognizant of how far he's going into the forest. From what Kaya described, it didn't seem terribly deep into the woods. Obviously, she was able to find her way back out. Um, but he's gonna kind of keep an eye and sort of wander, letting almost fate take him where it will.
Okay. Uh, with all of that in mind, and a very brief pause so I can quickly yell at my rabbit, "Hey, stop eating things!" Sorry.
You're good.
She likes to throw stuff that she should not be throwing. Um, let's roll for a survival check so we can try to track down exactly what we are looking for.
Sweet. I have a +0, so that's an 8.
Okay,
Uh,
so we're gonna call that a couple of hours of searching. And thus far, you have not found exactly what you are looking for, but you're also realizing in your wanderings that you're primarily still amongst the outer hickory groves of this area. And you remember that in your dreams, and as well when talking with Kaya, she was distracted by the pretty glowing blue leaves. And it's
hmm
not hickory groves that have glowing blue leaves, it's a different kind of plant.
Deeper we go.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And
Deeper we
so,
go, looking for the pretty blue leaves.
yes, 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 yes. All right. Um, so I'm curious to see if you remember what kind of plant has that kind of um, feature. So, will you roll nature, please?
Absolutely. I in fact studied this at the academy, and that I have a -1 and rolled a 20 on the die. So I remember for some reason. So 19.
So, you're recalling from one of your few lessons that you actually attended that
hmm
blue leaf trees are known for having very vibrant, fluorescent blue leaves. In fact, even their trunks occasionally will have a very lovely blue tint to them. And that sometimes these leaves are used to create a very vibrant blue dye. But given the way Kaya describes the rather interesting paint or swirls on the rocks, maybe a similar but different paint was used in this instance. But interesting that she was able to notice that there was a similarity between the two.
Hmm. So, out of curiosity, what is the plant? What is the name of it?
Blue leaf.
Blue leaf. Wow. I'm sure glad I could remember that. That would be pretty embarrassing if I couldn't.
That blue leaf trees that are only found in Hermit's Wood have blue leaves and glow blue. Yes. It's a good thing we remembered that one.
Right? I mean, God. I mean,
Yeah.
Tristain is not. He has 9 intelligence. Like he's not very smart. So you know what I mean? Like he's not the sharpest tool in the shed, but he gets by.
It's okay.
So Tristain audibly says to himself, "I'm in the right area now," and
Mm-hmm.
then
Mm-hmm.
starts looking around, hunting again for this like painted or carved blue boulder that has the scrolls upon it.
Okay. Um, so given what you now recall about blue leaf trees, you know you need to head more towards the center of the forest because they tend to grow more towards the middle of the area. So that should give
Absolutely.
you advantage on your next survival check.
Let's hope it matters. 10 with advantage.
I'm sorry. I tried.
It's okay. We're gonna be wandering around here for a while.
On the bright side, I was trying to tucker you out.
That's good. No, yeah. I mean, Tristan's starting to get tired. He's been walking for like what? At the end of this, will probably be about 6 hours through the woods.
Yeah, minimum.
Yeah. No.
All right. So deeper into Hermit's Wood, those hickory oak trees give way to clusters of blue leaves, their thin trunks tangled into dense copses. The softly glowing leaves, like azure-stained maples, shimmer against their darker neighbors, the light casting an otherworldly spell. As you press on, the glow thickens, and tendrils of fog begin to creep along the forest floor. Do you press on?
Yeah, I think I gotta. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. Tristan's gonna continue.
okay.
I'm gonna take a moment to kind of gather up some of the blue leaves and look at them. I don't know if Tristan's actually ever seen one in person. He's obviously heard of them because, local legends and stuff like that. He's from Cormyr after all. But roughly, how much light does a single leaf give off? Is it like, are we talking like candlelight, or is it dimmer than that even? Way
It's
dimmer.
way, way dimmer than that, yeah. Um, I don't think you could even get a bundle of them together to cast any kind of significant light. It's,
Hmm.
from my understanding, it's sort of like ambiance. I guess it's sort of
Yeah, like
like,
you can see it in the dark, but you can't
yeah,
see things with it. I
like
get you.
phytoplankton and things like that. Not even like
Hmm.
firefly glow. It's just this sort of like,
Yeah, darker than that.
yeah.
Can Tristain roll maybe like a check of some sort to try to see if he remembers why they glow? What the reason was given? Like a history or a nature check?
You can, but I don't actually know as the game master because I couldn't find
Just make
that.
it up.
Sure, I will make it up.
Just make it up. What would you like me to roll?
um, Probably a nature check.
Sounds good. Tristan does not know. Because that is a 5, so you don't need to worry about it.
Okay.
He has no idea.
Because
It's
I
it's like
truly don't
spirits or
know.
something. You know what I mean?
That
It's
did
like it's
not
the
come
ghosts
up.
in the ground that make it like
Yeah.
glow and stuff.
I mean, it probably has something to do with um, biology of the tree or something like that. That is
Probably, yeah.
interesting in my reading that that did not come up with why blue leaf leaves glow blue. They talked about the things they use the trunks for. Apparently, it's
Hmm.
similar to ironwood and they can make all kinds of stuff out of that. And then they were like,
That's
oh, and
awesome.
by the way, the leaves glow. I was like, oh, that
Why? Who
seems
knows?
more important. Oh, and you can make a dye out of it. But wait, okay.
Why? Who knows? There's
Why?
there's a lot of stuff like that in D&D settings where it's just like it happens.
It just
Like
happens. It
it's
just
there.
is. I'm
Yep.
like, but
It's magic, you know.
there needs to be a reason. Okay. Like this is biology. This isn't magic. Anyways,
Exactly. Maybe
things
it's
to
magic trees,
ask
you
at
know.
the next convention. Why do blue leaf
Exactly. I
leaves
mean,
glow in
next time we
trees?
see
Like,
Ed, we'll ask him, right?
why are they blue? Okay. Be like, there isn't a reason. Blue's my favorite color. Um,
Probably. I mean, I would think
probably
it's blue
yes.
his last name, you know what I mean? But all right, so I'm wandering into the woods, right? Tristan has no like guide or plan. He's just going. Like he has failed every survival check up to this point. He is just going and hoping for the best.
Speaking of which, you owe me a survival check.
Yeah, I do. Is this one still an advantage or
No,
nope?
sorry.
15, no
There's
advantage.
fog.
Finally,
Yay!
I know we get to advance through the adventure now.
New image. Okay. Um, you're not quite sure how long you've been in the woods, but given how exhausted you are now feeling, it's been quite a bit through the day. When you finally reach what you presume to be the boulder that Kaya saw in her own wanderings not too long ago, and you do see that it seems to be covered in some sort of dye that has been used to create some kind of a swirling pattern. And as you study it, you do see that the paint is sort of faintly glowing and that there's an intention behind the design. And you almost get this faint buzz off of it of arcane magic.
Tristan kind of looks over it, takes a look back over his shoulder, you know, through the area he's coming. He's like, this child like wandered like miles. Like what is going on in this in this village? Um, but ultimately he's going to remove his holy symbol and begin to chant faintly as he casts detect magic.
Okay. So, as you have done this, you do more definitively get that sense of some magic has been performed upon the stone, and you're starting to get a sense of what type of magic that it was.
Hmm.
And as the spell finally completes, you're realizing that it seems to be some sort of um, both a mix of abjuration and um, transmutation magic. You've never seen something mixed like this before, but you're getting the
Hmm.
sense that it was meant to be protective.
I'm gonna look around real quick. Um, there are no toads near me, right? None of these magical toads that can like see invisible creatures and other stuff like that.
That you know
Probably should have looked for
of.
one earlier. Yeah, maybe the magical toads that can see invisible creatures can see them because they are also invisible. I'm just saying, like that might be what's actually
Dun, dun,
going on.
dun.
Tristan doesn't know.
Actually, could
No,
not
he
find
has no idea.
stats for those dang toads. I'm really kind of mad about it. I really wanted
Yeah, they're
one.
probably buried in some Dragon magazine or adventure from the like early '90s.
70s.
But
Oh. You're nicer
Yeah,
than
maybe,
me.
maybe the early '90s, mid '80s. You know what I mean? Something like that. Who's really to say? But yeah, trying to recreate the Forgotten Realms or like dig up information is its own like lesson
Historian's
in
task.
library science. Yeah, no, like actually historian task, like
Yeah,
real world historian
it
task.
really is. No, like I've used my history degree to pull up some of this stuff.
For real though, I mean the wiki's great, but like if you want to look up some of these old settings, like you gotta hunt.
Hmm.
All right.
I've used my
Um.
connections.
Yeah. No. There you go. I mean, you have.
Be
Um.
surprised you can find in archives.
Especially Internet Archive. Internet Archive is your friend.
Yeah.
Um. Especially if you're looking at like old stuff. So abjuration, transmutation, magic mixed, and it's kind of protective. I've never seen anything like these swirls before, right?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Um. My language is again. All right. Well, no surprises there. This does not appear to be a script, right? Uh, at least not that I can tell.
It is not words, if that's what you're asking
Mhm.
me. It's not um trying to think of the exact.
Yeah, that's
Yes, it's not block print.
okay.
I'm
Could it
choosing to
be in like?
answer
But
your
it's
question
not.
exactly in that way. That is a clue.
Gotcha. So it could be writing in a different alphabet that Tristain cannot read. Um,
Yes.
okay. Let me see if I have another spell. Because I still have casts. Didn't take that one. Should have taken comprehend languages. Would have been good. Um, lesson to all of you:
Teehee.
take perception and take comprehend languages. These two will save you. Um, all right. Well, I left with no other option and having 9 intelligence. I'm gonna touch the boulder, just to see if anything happens. Kind of walk around it, touch it, examine the area a little more, see if there's anything there.
Um, while you're examining this stone, more than once you sense that you're glimpsing movement, a cloaked figure at the edge of your sight, but each time you turn to look, nothing is there. The longer you study the stone, the more it seems like the forest is growing heavier with silence. Eventually, frustrated and weary, you grow tempted to sink against the broad trunk of this lone hickory tree. Do you decide to sit down and rest?
Roughly, how close is the figure to me that I keep seeing out of the corner of my eye?
Somewhere between 30 and 60 feet.
I'm going to use Divine Sense for Paladin ability, which is I can detect the presence of strong evil. So I can see fiends, celestials, and undead within 60 feet of me. I know where they are, even if they're behind total cover.
Okay. Nope, you do not see fiends, celestials, or undead.
Okay, let me mark down one use of that. And then yeah, Tristain is he's gonna lay down and kind of remember that like he's thinking of like legendsy sort of, right? There are legends of people who fall asleep beneath the fairy tree or other stuff like that, right? And it kind of occurs to him that, you know, being here and he keeps dreaming about this place, right? That maybe dreaming here might be beneficial to his goal. You can tell that he has no self-preservation instinct at all. Like it's entirely gone. Like there's nothing there. He's gonna wrap himself up in a blanket a little bit, maybe throw some leaves over himself, but generally just hope for the best.
Very well then. So, sitting down beneath this tree, all curled up and cozy, you take a rest. And if you wish, you may consider this a short or long rest. Nothing is going to hurt
Um,
you here physically. Can't
okay.
speak for
I'm gonna consider it a
emotionally.
long rest. We'll go ahead and reset that. I don't know. Things might hurt me emotionally. I might have dreams. You never know.
No
Going to
promises.
sleep can be a risky prospect. All right, sounds good.
Yeah. All right. So, during your rest, you do in fact have a dream.
Excellent.
Yes. So sorry. In this dream, you see the cloaked figure, and it comes to you as it has before in recent days, holding a lantern. And you see it as if it is searching for something, scanning the grounds, looking around. It comes forward to touch the stone. And when it does, you notice that it's as if the markings on there have lit up ever so briefly. And then it glances up
Oh.
and looks at you.
Is this the first time it's looked at me throughout my dreams?
Yes. And then it speaks and says, "Find me." And it's the same voice that you have heard before chanting in that language. It seems so familiar, but you could never possibly have learned before. And then the figure vanishes. You awake to that strong scent of ocean salt on the air. A small toad perches on your knee, watching you. With a soft croak, it turns, hops to the ground, and vanishes off into the trees.
I'm gonna try to follow that. Grab my blanket, go after the toad.
Okay. Following
Luckily, I
it.
have dark vision, so I can kind of see a little bit. But yeah,
All right. It's almost dawn. You got your full rest. Not that mean.
excellent.
Following its path, you soon reach a cluster of ancient blue leaves. Their gnarled trunks locked together like a barrier. At their edge, a boulder no taller than your knee bears a similar swirling mark painted in bright blue dye. From beyond the trees floats that all too familiar voice, repeating the incomprehensible chant that has haunted your dreams.
Mm. One second. I'm going to continue on following that voice. But first, I will touch the boulder as well. And do the symbols light up when I touch it?
Yes, they do.
Excellent. Tristain will kind of take note of that and then continue following these voices.
Okay.
By the way, if you're playing a D&D adventure, don't do what Tristain is doing. Like, this is a good way to die to the Fae, in the woods.
Don't touch it before you know what it is, okay?
Nope, exactly. Wear curse-proof gloves. That's the rogue way to survive.
Seriously.
Yeah. 9 intelligence. Anyway,
All right. Um, when those symbols light up, the voice suddenly ceases, and ever so slightly the scene shifts. Instead of a barrier blocking your path, you are in a small clearing surrounded by blue leaf trees. There in the center is a female. She is wearing a gray cloak and has long auburn hair woven with kelp leaves. She watches you cautiously and waits to see what you will do next.
Tristain takes a moment and examines his surroundings, but he never lets her out of his view. Like, he never turns far enough to where she is, not in his line of sight. Um, and then he will take down his hood and say, I believe that you have requested my presence here, but I don't know why. Do you know who I am already? Because I do not know who you are.
She watches you carefully, assessing, deciding. Then she says, the tides have pulled you here. If you are of the house Virkalyn, then you are who I have called here. Is it true? Are you the adventurer?
I am. I am Tristain.
She nods. I am Tristain, and I need your help, adventurer. I have been trapped here for many generations. Your house once promised me aid, but instead I've been locked in this forest. If you can free me, I would very much like to return to my home. I need only to be able to return to the sea. It is your blood that
I'm
can free
gonna
me.
kind of yeah, go ahead. I'm gonna examine her a little bit closer. You said she has long auburn hair that is woven with kelp.
Yes.
Um, what are her ears like, and her skin color?
She has very pale skin, but you can't really see her ears beneath her long hair. Um,
Hmm.
but you can tell that she is very slight, similar to the way that you've seen other elves or fae kind. Um, from this distance, you can tell that she smells of the ocean, salt and sea and kelp. Um, other than that, without an alternative form of examination than your eyes, you can't determine more about her.
Gotcha. And what was her first name again?
Neris.
Neris, do you know how long you've been trapped here?
She seems sad and confused, and then shakes her head. I only know that it's been a very long time since I saw the sea.
May I approach you?
She nods.
Tristain will come closer, kind of come up to her, and he will focus, you know, inward for a moment, and once again use divine sense,
Okay.
essentially trying to determine if she is some sort of undead. You know what I mean? That it
Mm-mm.
is a ghost or something like that.
No, she's not any of those three species.
Gotcha. Neris, do you know the manner of how you were confined here, or why, or do you remember any of that? Anything before being trapped?
I remember that I was somehow summoned. I was pulled like the tides from my realm, from my plane of existence. In my world, There are special stones that we use to travel to different places. Only my kind can use them. Our sorts of magic can activate them. I think there must be a stone like that here, and it pulled me here. Somehow, some spellcaster must have activated it and pulled me here. But then he wanted things from me. He wanted mere magic to do something to help him in some war. When I refused, he locked me here in the woods. But I could not find my way out. I once met an adventurer who promised to free me. They said somehow their blood could save me. They said they had your name, but they never returned.
Was this quite long ago that you met my ancestor? Or perhaps they are still living?
I feel it must be some time ago, for I have been calling to them for many moons, and they have never answered. Not until you came, and you are certainly not them.
No, I am not. Were they a man or a woman, male or female?
She thinks about this. My kind does not use the same words, but I feel that you would call them a female.
He nods, considering this. I see that you have learned to speak our tongue. Is this? I assume we're conversing right now in common. Is this what is used in your home? Or do you use a different tongue, such as this? And then he will say a sentence in Elvish, which he also speaks.
She sort of cocks her head and listens, and answers in Sylvain. This is similar to what we use, but no, this is not our language. And then says again in a language he does not know at all, but this is the tongue of the ocean.
Hmm.
This is what we prefer.
Tristain nods. I see. And you'll continue in common, as it seems to be the best way to converse with her right now. Did my ancestor say anything about how she planned to free you?
She said that the only way to break the binding was to use the blood of the spellcaster, her blood. But I don't know what that means.
Hmm. Well, Tristain kind of thinks on this a little bit. He is not particularly trained in the arcane arts. In fact, he is not trained in the arcane arts at all. But he is more than willing to help, and does have some passing knowledge on religions and other such. And from that, he might glean some sort of knowledge regarding bindings and other such. Would it be appropriate to roll a religion check to kind of maybe gain some insight into what might be going on further,
Mhm.
pulling from other planes and other stuff like that? And we get a 10. Yep, sounds about
Okay.
right.
Um, so based on what you know about your country's history, um,
Mhm.
you can kind of glean that whatever might have happened some generations ago, given how warlike this region is, uh, some ancestor was probably seeking an advantage by
Absolutely.
trying to pull something from an alternative plane. Whether they really intended to pull her from another plane or got both lucky and
Yeah.
unlucky at the same time in drawing her through, to be determined. Um, but that seems to be kind of what was happening there. Um, whether or not any cult or other ritual was also involved, to be determined. Um, Certainly, she seems to possess some unique magics that are not native to this realm. Um,
Hmm.
and so that would have certainly been an advantage had they been able to get her cooperation. Obviously, that did not work, and so they somehow bound her here. Um, but since she doesn't seem to have a great knowledge of how this realm works, um, unclear if she's going to be able to provide a whole lot of insight into how to break that binding.
Understandable. Um, Tristan's gonna think through what has happened, this conversation that he's had so far. And I'd like to do an insight check on her. I
Mm-hmm.
want to see if, she is attempting to deceive.
Okay.
19.
Okay.
First good roll, or second good roll. Second good roll of the night.
Yes. Um, as far as you know, she is not intentionally being deceptive. Whether or not she's provided any inaccurate information is merely a product of happenstance and not
Mhm.
being particularly familiar with this world and how things work. But she does wish to gain your trust and your help. She wants to go home, so she has no motivation to be intentionally deceptive to you.
No, that makes sense. Um, Tristan will ask, have you seen this stone that is used to transport between domains and realms? I've seen several boulders painted with a blue dye, in markings. I assume that you have made those.
Yes, those are my wards. I hoped by creating protection runes, I might be able to break the binding here, but I simply couldn't make anything strong enough to break it. The best I could do was to create something that would allow me to wander for short periods of time. Nothing that would really allow me to leave permanently. The stone that I believe I came through, it's at the bottom of the Dragonmere. It is so much larger, like a portal. Perhaps it lies there still. Perhaps it is this that has been bound and locked.
But yet you continue to return here to the Hermit way.
I must. I do not have a choice. Like the tides that are pulled back by the moon, I have no choice but to return here. Eventually. There doesn't seem to be anywhere else that I can go.
The wards, are they weakest when the moon is full, or the strongest rather when the moon is full?
Yes, all of our magic is. Why?
No, just curious. That's what most of the stories say, that there is a figure that wanders through these woods and is seen mostly only on the full moon. Hmm. Well, you wouldn't happen to know where in the Dragonmere this stone is? You said it's quite large.
She thinks on this for a moment and says, I believe if you head directly south, you will find it about 2 kilometers offshore.
It's have to charter a boat, probably speak with the CLs, see what's in there.
I could ward you if
I've
you
never spoken
like.
with them directly, but
That way you could
What would
swim
that do?
down directly.
I'm gonna roll another insight check on that. Another 19.
She's being honest. She really can ward you and allow you to be able to swim straight down. So you don't need a boat. You could do it on your own manpower, so to speak. She really does have the
How long will
skills.
the warding last?
You'd have to ask her.
Yeah, that
Oh,
I'm gonna
okay.
ask how long will the
Sorry.
warding last? No, no, you're good.
uh, she says a approximately an hour or so. It depends on how strong it is made.
Hmm. He considers this for a moment. Yeah, what can we do to make it stronger? I mean, it's gonna take me more than an hour to make it down to the Dragonmere, and not to mention, into the water and swimming 2 kilometers.
She thinks on this for a moment and says, it's better to be cast upon the person, but I suppose if I cast it upon a stone and then you held more than one, it would allow it to be stronger. But really, the magic is most effective if drawn upon yourself. Plus,
Would it
this,
be possible? Oh, sorry.
plus, this ward is a boon. If drawn upon your person, it would allow you to use it again in the future. As a stone, I'm not sure that would be possible.
So with this ward, um, is it activated upon being drawn, or is it something I am able to activate on my own?
Activated at will.
That'll do. Um, what do you require for this ward?
Only your consent, and that you hold very still.
Tristain will nod and say, "Does it have to be drawn upon my flesh? I can remove my armor if necessary."
She shakes her head. I can draw it upon your armor if you wish, but you will need to wear your armor when you go underwater. I can also draw it upon your cloak or the leather thing. She points to your um, jerkin. And then if you wish, I could
Hmm.
also draw on your arm or your chest, like a tattoo.
He nods and offers her a smile and says, "Probably best to go on my armor on my chest then." And slowly, begins the rather involved process of taking his armor off. Uncinching certain parts, getting it off his head, taking his pack off. Removing the gambeson beneath, removing the tunic, and it occurs to him it's rather cold at this point. It's night. It's all of his. He kind of has goose flesh on his arms at this point because it's cold. But he stands there beneath the moonlight. Essentially shirtless for the woman.
uh, while you're going through this very lengthy process, um, having worn armor a couple times myself, I'm well aware.
Hmm.
um,
It's not short.
it's it's an excursion all on its own. Um,
Oh yeah.
yes. Uh-huh. Um, she is getting out a small bag from seems to have been attached around her waist, and
Hmm.
from it she is drawing out some sort of a powder that she then puts into a homemade bowl, adds some water, and is mixing a paste. And she's sort of softly chanting over it. And as this happens, the paste starts to glow. And when she sees that you're ready, She comes over to you and starts to paint upon your chest a swirling rune. It's not like the ones on the rock, but you can see that it's made in a similar sort of design, as if it's made from the same language.
Cinder will sorry, I keep saying Cinder. Cinder is a different paladin I played. Tristain, I assume that her fingers are cold. Is that correct?
The paste is cold, but no, her body
Hmm.
would be as warm as yours.
Okay. Tristain will allow her to finish and then ask her, what does a stone look like? It's probably best that I know what I'm looking for, rather than just swimming around at the bottom of the Dragonmere for an hour.
She says, "It is as tall as a henge stone, but perhaps not quite as wide, but twice so as a man. It has engravings all around, or at least it did when I came through. Not engravings like ours, more, how would you say? She starts to draw in the dirt, and you're noticing patterns similar
Hmm.
to what you would see in Elvish designs.
Tristain nods and says, "Say that's Elvish," is what he says. You'll notice that there is a not a script similarity to Sylvan, but spoken they share a couple words. Um, I'm not intimately familiar with this dialect, with this particular usage, but I think I know what I am looking for. Was it standing upright when you saw it?
Yes, like a pillar.
He nods and considers this for a second. Um, Tell me again, if you would, your experience coming to this place. You were summoned, obviously. Did you appear at this stone when you entered our world?
Yes, I was still under the water, but only for the barest moments. Then there was like a flash and a ripping, and then suddenly I was somewhere cold and dark, and everywhere was stone, and there was yelling voices. The men seemed angry, like something had gone wrong, and then I don't really remember after that.
When was your first memory of being here in the forest?
I remember being in the forest sometime after the stone place. I was telling the angry men no because they wanted me to teach them the magic. They wanted me to teach them how to make runes of their own. When I told them no for the last time, everything was darkness, and then I woke up here, and it was light, and I thought it was quite beautiful, the way the trees were like the ocean. Only I couldn't leave. I couldn't even leave the grove the first time. And then it didn't
The
feel like
magic
the
weakens
ocean
over time.
anymore.
Well, Naris, thank you. Thank you for this boon. I will go see if I can find your stone and in some way activate it. Um, I will attempt to return as soon as I can, to verify. It is up to you if you want to wait or not, for my return before you leave this realm. I don't know if that will be an option for you, but After I find this, I will search for you here, and if I don't find you, after some time, I will depart this region. I assume that if it fails, you will find me again through my dreams.
Okay. Um, she will smile to you and then wish you
Hmm.
good luck.
Thank you. Hopefully, I don't need it, but I have my ancestor looking after me.
All right.
And with that, I think Tristain will kind of, put his cloak back on. He gets all his armor back on. I'm trying to see what armor he's actually wearing here. Half plate. So yeah, it takes him a while to put it back on. And he gets all his stuff together and says, "Nerys, I will return when I have found this pillar."
Okay. Um, I'm not going to make you go through the whole forest situation again. That would just be
Yeah, that's
cruel.
all good.
Um,
Nerys helped me find my way out, right?
yes, she will guide you back out. Uh, from there, it's probably about mid-morning once again. And you're welcome to head straight into the Dragonmere if you would like to. It is right there. Um, and when you are ready to activate the ward, you literally just have to speak a command word.
Hmm.
And it will allow you to sprout gills and webbed fingers to give you a swimming speed equal to your walking speed. There
Oh,
will
nice.
not be any underwater combat, but weapons
Well, that's
won't
good
have a
because I just have
penalty.
disadvantage the whole
Yeah,
time.
we're just gonna like get in and get out. Um, but should that happen for the future, and we'll get into all of that if we need to. But
Mhm.
so most important part is that you're okay underwater, and now you have a swimming speed equal to your walking speed.
It does occur to Tristain to take off his armor, but he decides not to. He's like, well, I might need it. I really hope I don't, but I might need it. With the understanding that it's going to be quite difficult for him to swim in
Don't tempt the GM.
it. I know.
Okay. Are we diving below?
We're activating the ward and diving below.
Okay. So it's fairly murky under the water, but um, eventually you do find that pillar. And despite all of the years of muck and grime that inevitably settle down as silt at the bottom
Hmm.
of any given lake, it is fairly obvious that this is still the engraved stone that Neris was trying to tell you about. But whatever magic may or may not have pulled her through here all that time ago, there's no longer a trace of it here. No glowing runes, no taint of anything. Whatever's here now or then, it's just an engraved rock.
Roughly how long has it taken me underwater to get to this position?
About 30 minutes or so.
Okay, so I'm kind of tight on time. I got to head back soon. Tristain is going to spend a minute or two and kind of like try to clear off some of the silt, algae, and other stuff to see if he can read any of what is written on the stone.
Mhm. Yes, you're able to clear away some of that silt, and it is going to be kind of a challenging read after all of these years, but there is definitely some markings there that indicate that perhaps once upon a time, the stone was created to be some sort of teleportation artifact. Whether or not
Hmm.
it ever actually worked as intended is uncertain. After all, from your knowledge of history, there really was only one culture that actually successfully built any kind of teleportation magical anything, and it
Yeah.
certainly was not the elves. Um,
Nope.
and it didn't look anything like this. Um, but perhaps from
Oh,
an
yes, it did.
alternative plane, it was accidentally activated and somehow was able to communicate for one unique brief moment, bringing Neris through.
Tristain will remove his dagger. Well, kind of, prick himself a bit and try to smear it on the stone. See if anything happens. Blood
Yes.
sacrifice, great idea for Paladin. Um, never gone wrong before.
And that is how you get a whole new subclass. Um,
Exactly.
so as this happens, you're noticing that the runes sort of shimmer ever so briefly, and there's sort of a percussive force underwater.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, nothing appears to happen. But you sort of have this sense that something has changed. That whatever weight that was upon you before seems to have lifted. And
Wait,
it's,
meaning, sorry, go ahead.
yes, sort of like weight of responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
That now that that has lifted, it's off your shoulders. A weight that you didn't even realize was necessarily there, but had been there your whole life.
Tristain will surface, or do his best to surface.
Okay. Yes, and you're able to swim safely to shore. And when you get there, you see that someone is waiting for you, and it's Neris. Almost as if she knew she'd be able to safely leave the forest, she has come out to meet you.
Tristain, kind of, comes up, pours the water out of his helmet and the rest of his gear, starts, kind of taking it off slowly. And he says, it seems like your wards have, or rather, your binding has
She
Do you feel that you're
smiles.
free to walk? Mm-hmm.
Yes, she smiles for the first time and says, I can sense the sea again. I feel that I will be allowed to go home this time.
Tristain smiles and says, where is home? He said it was another plane, but do you know what that plane is called?
She thinks about this. I know that my islands are in a place called the never-ending stars, but I do not feel that this is what we call our plane. I do not know what your people would call it. We have some of yours where I'm from, and they have many names for things, but we do not speak to them very often, and they don't know of us at all. I don't know what they would call it, our world. It's very different from yours. The magic doesn't speak here, but it speaks to us a lot where we are from. I don't know why that is.
Tristain nods. Indeed. Um, well, I'm happy that I could help you back there. Uh, it, I hope that this will will allow you to return to your home and find peace there, Nerys. Um, I am glad that I could restore what my ancestor did not do, was unable, perhaps.
She nods and
Where?
smiles.
Mhm. Do you need any further assistance?
She shakes her head no, says, I will be able to find my way home from here. Thank you. And she
Of
briefly
course.
touches your chest, and you feel sort
Hmm.
of a warm sensation where the tattoo is. And she says, there, now you'll be warded forever, and it will pass on to the next generation as a thank you for helping me.
Thank you, Nerys. I appreciate it.
And as she gives you a last smile, she steps to the Dragonmere, and her cloak disappears, and you see her transform into a seal. She dips below the waves, and you sense that she is gone from this plane.
Tristain will watch the water for a moment before returning to or turning to head back to town with a smile on his
Excellent. There you will find your laundry waiting for you.
face. Yeah. Excellent.
Actually, yes.
Dried and probably folded, right?
Yes.
Sweet. With that collected, I think Tristain is I think the only thing left for him to do is to thank the woman again and then make his way towards Suzale. Um, make his way towards where his family is. He's been gone for many years, and I think he realizes it's time to go home.
Nice. I like that.
Face whatever will be there.
That is awesome. Good.
Well, that was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Of course. Uh, well, just so that Tristain knows what to tell his family about when he gets back, they ask
Mm-hmm.
about that strange tattoo on his chest.
Yep.
Um, so this rune is a protective spell of the elusive sealkin, who use a variety of magical underwater plants to preserve the unique magic. Consisting of swirling patterns which are painted upon any worn surface. Once activated, this arcane design glows softly with a faint blue light. While marked with the woad rune, that's the kind you received, you
Mm-hmm.
are considered warded, gaining a +1 bonus to AC and saving throws. So
Nice.
that will help Tristain.
It
The
will.
Sealkin Ward, which is what this one will do, as an action, you can activate this rune to magically gain the ability to breathe underwater for 1 hour. Upon speaking the command, you activate this rune, sprouting gills and growing webbing between your fingers for the duration. You also gain the following benefits. You gain a swimming speed equal to your walking speed. Your weapon attacks suffer none of the penalties of underwater combat. Damage you deal ignores a creature's resistance to fire damage as a result of being fully immersed in water.
Nice.
Yeah,
No, that's great. I love it. Thank you. That was a lot of fun, Chelsea.
yeah. Thank you. I had a lot of fun playing with you.
Nice.
All right. Well, before we wrap up for the evening, are
Mm-hmm.
there any exciting things coming up with you in general or more broadly with Gooey Cube you'd like to share with us?
Well, I'm real excited for Gloomport to come out. Carrie's been working on it real hard,
Mhm.
and it's getting to a close state. So I'm excited for that to come out. I'm excited for Genghis Khan too. It's gonna be great to see us and all of our friends and stuff. But yeah, no, that's mostly what we've been doing. Gooey Cube is going great, but Nothing much I can share right now. Sorry, we have a little visitor, but but yeah, no, it's I'm excited for that. I'm real excited for Guys and Gax. I have a project that I'm working on with that, so I'm doing the BBEGs and the legendary items. So when you guys get your Kickstarter rewards, you'll know who wrote them. You can also read the author section; that'll tell you too. But that'll just keep an eye out for it. It should be some pretty fun. So,
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you once again for joining us. I definitely had
of
a lot of
course,
fun. All right. Well, I hope everyone has an amazing weekend, and we will see all of you guys next time. Bye.